Hello, I'm sure many of you are aware that the Pyro's flamethrower damage was reduced by 20% in a recent patch. I decided to see how the flamethrower fared after the patch, and used the backburner as a rough analog of the prepatch flamethrower. Seeing that the flamethrower damage was reduced 20% and the backburner given 20% more damage over the current flamethrower, that should put it roughly 4% within the damage range of the prepatch flamethrower. First, I decided to test the shotgun against the flamethrower. The Pyro's flamethrower is stronger the closer you get to the target, but at point blank range, the generic shotgun far outclasses it. I survived the Pyro's flamethrower with about 110 health left after the Pyro died from the shotgun. This result tends to hold true at very close range. At a certain distance out, the fall off for the shotgun means that 3 shots are required to kill the Pyro, but the shotgun still wins overall. The cycle time of having to fire a third shot can help the flamethrower Pyro do more damage, but the shotgun Pyro still survives to go and get more health. Just so you can see that these tests are even, I'll test flamethrower versus flamethrower before showing you some more. Flamethrowers of course come out even, and the backburner, my analog for the original flamethrower, is marginally better, but as you can see, it's about equivalent to the generic shotgun. Even melee is fairly close in performance to the flamethrower. One more hit a split second later and the other Pyro would have won the battle. A class with more health than the Pyro will of course have an advantage. The 300 health this heavy has helps him get a third strike on the Pyro, but some weaker classes manage to equal or best the Pyro through use of superior firepower. The Pyro ultimately wins this matchup, but keep in mind that the Spy has 125 health and is doling out about 174 points of damage, while in the same amount of time the Flamethrower only managed 125. Nothing is really overpowered about these weapons. And Valve has given the Heavy a nice upgrade that makes the class more enjoyable, but even before the patch, an Oblivious Heavy could still get flamed in the back, turn around, and still manage to shoot a Pyro dead. With the weakened Flamethrower, this is even more possible. Even the Scout with Pistol manages to come out about equal, doling out about 174 damage to the Pyro's 125. Plus, no other weapon but the 2 Flamethrowers suffer a 100% damage fall off rate at range. A fairly major disadvantage should naturally be offset with an advantage. If a class's primary weapon can't do damage at long range like the other classes can, then his weapon should be superior at close range since that's his territory. As it stands now though, there's no advantage at close range or long range for the Pyro. Now you're probably thinking, well, the Pyro isn't just limited to lighting things on fire, he has the airblast and the extinguisher. And I have to really give Valve their kudos for making the airblast what it really should have been in the first place, a weapon that performs fast enough to respond to a really skilled Pyro, and also one that uses mini crits to reward what can be a pretty tricky move. However, this isn't really an ability to base the entire class around, as it's only really a counter for 2 classes, the Soldier and the Demo. The direct hit and rocket launcher can be deflected, but the direct hit is considerably harder due to its speed. Demo Man's grenades are reflectable, but they're harder to hit due to their speed and rarely do they ever explode on impact. Most seasoned demos usually rely on their sticky launcher because of the difficulty in aiming and getting a direct hit. This makes it doubly unreliable for Pyros trying to reflect and then hit the demo with a grenade. In addition, the stickies are usually not affected enough by the air blast to make them a feasible return weapon. Countering the Huntsman is also not a generally feasible tactic. The minute size of the arrows makes their distance difficult to gauge, and the speed of the arrows makes them more difficult to time under latency. Now I know some people complain about W plus M1 Pyros, and some of you are probably thinking, well, doesn't this make the Pyro more skillful if he has to rely on the airblast and extinguisher? We've already established the inefficacy of the Flamethrower versus other weapons, so let's take a look at the extinguisher for a second. I recorded this from just before the moment I pressed mouse 1 to when the Scout fell over dead. Here you can see that the backburner is actually faster than lighting the enemy on fire, swapping to your extinguisher, and then swinging it to kill them. The backburner takes about a second while the extinguisher combo takes a little more. So the extinguisher combo move is somewhat inferior to the already less damaging backburner. Plus it still requires the same skills that all classes use, simply pointing and shooting at the enemy, though of course with an extra step involved. If you have trouble with classes using W plus M1, I might suggest countering with A, S, or D. All classes of course use W plus M1, however the Pyro has to, otherwise he won't do any damage with this short range weapon. Skill sets for the shooting classes in Pyro are pretty much the same, plus Pyro has to survive being fired on at range to get in close enough to do damage with his primary. And of course the airblast is only helpful in this capacity against Soldier, Demo Man, and occasionally the Sniper, unless they use the shotgun, sticky launcher, or sniper rifle. So what can help the Pyro become useful as a class? I believe the airblast changes should stay. as this is one of the more difficult and rare moves to pull off as an attack in the game. However, the disadvantages of the Pyro's Flamethrower, namely the inability to do damage except at short range, and the fact that the Pyro's afterburn damage is damage that's being done later instead of now, which could potentially save his life in a battle. The Pyro's range is good, so the best solution may be simply to increase the damage at close range. Since the Pyro is only significantly faster than 2 classes and slightly faster than only 1, then he's still vulnerable to other classes simply backpedaling away, giving him enough damage to be effective once he closes in, and he still has the balance of being powerful in his own territory, while being vulnerable to other classes killing him before he comes into range, and also backpedaling away. Heavy already shows that a class can be balanced while still being powerful at close range, so the Pyro could have a potent Flamethrower without being overpowered. For now, I suggest carrying the Flamethrower only for the airblast and relying on the shotgun as your primary combat weapon. It will do the same damage as the old Flamethrower and your backburner, and you won't have to worry as much about range. Once again, feel free to comment, and thanks for watching.